Hello and welcome to Talking Hoosier Baseball. Today is Tuesday, May 9th, 2023. I'm Carl James, joined by Cassidy Palmer and Chris Feeney. The Indiana Hoosiers went on the road and swept the Northwestern Wildcats this past weekend. There was no midweek game, so that was the entirety of what we have to cover. It was quite interesting, including a 12-inning game on Saturday. So lots of competitive baseball, but in the end, the Hoosiers managed to pull it out and avoid the real RPI sting that would have come from losing to an 8-win team, even if it was on the road. But the Hoosiers did it. The Hoosiers are now back in sole possession of second place in the Big Ten, and are preparing for a big RPI away game midweek at Xavier, followed by the big rivalry home series with Purdue this coming weekend. Chris, let's get started with you this week. What's on your mind?
Well, it definitely wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. And I'll put that out there right away. I didn't expect not to be able to hit on Friday night. I didn't expect to be in a nail biter on Saturday or an up and down one on Sunday. But we won all three types of games. So I'm going to take it. Even if it took Carter Matheson 4 and Northwestern nothing, or if it took, battling through those extra innings. I mean, with Taylor falling down and needing a great defensive play, the double play unassisted with Cerny, and it really took a lot. It took a lot to sweep this team. Mm-hmm. And I gave them credit. I give Northwestern credit because they really, maybe it was their Super Bowl. I don't know. They really, Kobe Mo. We even got to see Kobe Mo. Yeah. And Kobe Mo did pretty well. I expected him to give it up a little bit like he did at the Bart, but he didn't. And it was nail-biting baseball. And I didn't think it would be. I kind of figured we would just kind of take care of them and move on. And it was exciting stuff. And we found different ways to win different ball games as we have the whole year. It really was, minus the Maryland series, like a microcosm of this whole season, where we find different ways to win and we don't, wilt under pressure, and we don't get that heavy head where I feel like we've had sometimes in the past, especially that one year where the bats went away at the end and we just couldn't get it together. There wasn't like a woe is me thing. It didn't happen. They focused. They locked in. They said, we got to get through this, and we need 3 W's, and we got 3 W's. So yeah. I'll take it.
Yes.
And it wasn't also the strikeouts were up a little bit, but it wasn't like horrible plate appearances, but they were, they were not making contact. They were making lots of weak contact. And to some degree, I take some solace in noting that when things go bad, it's usually weak contact, which in the moment is very frustrating because that's actually, that preserves opponent pitching, which makes that particular game harder. But I think it's also a sign, though, that the offense isn't completely losing it. They're just not making exactly the right contact. Cass, what's on your mind?
Well, I was going to say, going off of what Chris said about not letting the head drop and keeping going. My first thought was in that second game, because in the 5th inning, IU still had not scored yet. And in the bottom of the 5th, Devin had that error that let a second run score. Wouldn't have ended the inning, but the next at bat did. So gave up a run on an error in the 5th. From that point on, he went 2 for 3 with 2 doubles. Sorry, it was 12 innings. I have to look on multiple pages. 2 doubles, 3 RBI, a walk, and what should have been another run scored. And so even though he was having not the greatest day in the field, he had also come close on a couple of plays that he made far more difficult for himself. but he didn't let it affect his at-bats, which is huge from a freshman, particularly as we're coming down the stretch into postseason play. That's what I want to see. The occasional error, the occasional turf monster, that's going to happen. I want to see how they respond. And Devin responded. He did his job. So I did want to point that out.
And he has such good at bats for a freshman.
Oh yeah, he does not have freshmen at bats.
Yeah, and I guess it's one of those things. I am actually listening to the book Moneyball now, and that was a point that they made in there that it was the philosophy that plate discipline is actually not necessarily a teachable skill.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Devin Taylor is proof of that.
Yeah. So I did want to bring that up because he did respond very well to a few tough situations where I don't want to say I would expect freshmen to collapse a little bit, but 2 for 3 with 2 doubles and a walk, I'll take that. Now I don't like that he had 4 at bats after the 5th inning. That's not encouraging unless we're batting around twice in consecutive innings kind of thing. Like, no, I don't want you to have 4 plate appearances after the 5th. No, thank you.
He was part of all those 2-out rallies though. Because it was weird to have Glasser and Whalen not come through as much as they normally do.
Yeah.
When that part of the lineup came up, I feel like it was always with 2 outs. Right? It was like, not to put them down, they've had an amazing season, but just in this series, there was a lot of Glasser gets out, Whalen gets out, and a 2-out rally, and we still score some runs. And a 2-out rally, and that part of the lineup still comes through.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's Taylor, Tibbetts, Matheson.
Mm-hmm.
Really, if you look at it, a lot of our runs through the weekend were with 2 outs.
Yep.
And it was with 3, 4, 5 in the lineup. And it really was encouraging because you're not always going to get Bobby Whalen and Philip Glasser to set the table, even though it feels like they have all year. But in this particular series, they did not. And we still were able to do it with 2 outs. And we always say 2 outs, RBIs are the best kind. Well, when you're playing the 8-win team and you can't even lose 1 game, it's even more important. I think it was late Sunday before we even scored a run without 2 outs.
Probably.
If I remember, I think all of Friday, I know with 2 outs.
Yeah.
I think all of Saturday was as well.
And in fact, on Friday, not only were all of the RBI with 2 outs, all of the players reached with 2 outs.
Yeah, it was Whalen, Glasser out 2, 3, 4 every time.
Yeah,
it was wild.
Yeah, well, and with Glasser, who would have pegged Northwestern as the team to end his on-base streak? So he exactly ties DeMuth for the record.
You couldn't make it up. You're not going to think it's going to be them, but it shows you that, your strategy and your game plan, and sometimes it's not going to work out. We said it last week, right? Sometimes you're going to get your ass kicked all weekend. And that happened against Maryland. And sometimes your table setters aren't going to come through. And what are the big bats going to do? Well, here's what they did. They scored a whole bunch of 2-out runs anyway.
Yep. Well, and with Glasser, and again, on that response kind of thing, he doesn't reach base in game 1. He leads off both games 2 and 3 with a hit.
Nice.
Like that, to me, that's a good response. And he was one of the guys in game 2. There was some phenomenal defense by Northwestern. Far better than I would have expected for a team that's not great defensively on the season.
I'm telling you, I think they looked at this weekend just as their Super Bowl, and they were going to do whatever they had to do to just get one. And they played really well. They did. They played really well.
Yep.
But we just were able to come through in the situations we needed to.
And also remember, they didn't have assistant coaches to start the season.
Yeah.
They didn't get assistant coaches till like 6 weeks into the season.
Yeah.
So I think that may have a lot to it. It may just be they weren't really ready to play until recently. And that's why they've done, I mean, granted, they're still last in the Big Ten, but they've at least gotten wins in the Big Ten, which they have not, they barely had any wins before conference play started.
Right. And
I mean, look at this weekend. They gave up 2 innings of runs on Friday, right?
Yeah.
Only.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, we're down 2 in the 8th. And
Yeah.
Sunday, honestly, was anybody's game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That did not look like an 8-win team.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't feel like I did
Yeah.
not feel that Indiana was like playing down to their level or anything.
No.
No, not
They
at
looked
all.
like Northwestern looked like a fundamentally sound team. So
Well, no, it was one of those weird ones where games 1 and 2 kind of settled my mind on the pitching. Like, okay, maybe it really was just Maryland teeing off. And that was fluke E. Largely a lot of the pitching concerns that were starting to bubble were answered in games 1 and 2. The pitchers did phenomenally. And then in game 3, the offense responded, which was a little bit of a relief on that perspective of the offense has been kind of spotty lately. So it was interesting how that played out. Because to go the 12 innings only giving up 2 runs, that's just phenomenal.
Well, that made
nine
it
innings of
21, didn't it?
Yeah. Not 12. Yeah.
21. The first 21 innings. How many runs did we give up? 2.
2. Yeah.
Pretty
I
good.
had to math is not my strong suit after 9 o'clock at night.
Well, we just threw a shutout in the first game for 9 innings.
Yep.
And then in 12 innings of the other game,
Yep.
we gave up 2 runs, right?
2 runs. Yep.
So,
Yep.
I'll take it.
And then outside of that really the first inning, but the first couple, I wasn't too concerned with what was given up outside of that on game 3. Because it was a little bit a run in the third on a ground rule double and a 2-out double. It happens. 2 runs in the fourth. That one, well, and even with that one, it was a plunk and a home run. Like, yep. And that was the only free pass that scored on the weekend. Well, the only pitcher induced free pass that scored on the weekend. So I'll take that. There were, if I can math, 18 free passes, and only one of them came around to score. That I'm good with. 2 runs in the 7th, and it was a pair of singles and 3 singles and an error, plus a sac fly. Like, yep, an error happened. Okay. And then the 1 run in the 9th was a solo shot with 2 outs. Outside of that first inning, none of the rest of it super concerned me from a pitching perspective.
And I think we learned a lot about Reisdorf with the back-to-back saves,
Yep.
we know he's, a front-end guy on the weekend later, but that doesn't mean he can't be a back-end guy now.
Yeah. I really like him in that 1 can maybe push 2 inning save kind of situation.
For now.
Right. At the moment, I really
I
like
him
in that
on
spot.
some Saturday afternoons too next year later on.
Yeah. But I mean, for this year right now,
yep.
Since we've seemed to pull Kraft out of that closing role, and we've extended him quite a bit. And even Yoho is throwing more innings overall than what you would normally see with a true closer. So to have a guy like Reisdorf that you can call on for a couple of 1 inning saves, I like that. A guy that is going to do it.
Yeah, he showed himself this weekend. Absolutely.
Yep.
If you want to get to the belts, I'll hand him one now. That's up to you guys.
that will work as a perfectly good segue. So,
Yes.
so go ahead, Chris. Why don't you go ahead and give out the belts this week?
Excellent. For pitching, as I've already alluded to, the Joey Donato Award's going to go to Bryden Reinsdorf. 2 saves, a 1 inning save, a 2 inning save, 4 Ks, just the 1 run that Cass just mentioned. Yes, solo bomb, it happens. But he really settled both games down. And you don't know you're going to get that from a freshman, right? Cass just raved about our freshman, Devin Taylor. Well, here's a freshman on the mound closing out 2 games that we absolutely needed. Last week I felt like we couldn't have really proved anything this weekend. This past weekend, like, it's Northwestern. We don't even get a chance to really show what we could do because we're just going to kill them. but we didn't. And, Reisdorf came through. Got the 2 back-to-back saves, so he gets the Joey Donato Award. For defense, for the Tony Butler, it's going to be Tyler Cerny. I know he's won a few before, but so what? Here's another one. That unassisted double play is some really good stuff. And he also had a excellent weekend with some stars on the score sheet. So Tyler's going to get another one. For offense, there was a few choices, but I'll take Carter Matheson 4, Northwestern 0, and give it to Carter Matheson for his Friday night performance. That game has a really different feel if he doesn't go deep in the first inning. I think we might have pressed more, and we didn't. And I think without that, tell me that's a scoreless game going late after what had happened in Maryland. But having that 3-0, it was kind of reminded me of didn't he hit the bomb in Auburn on Sunday in the first inning, right? And just kind of like everybody breathed.
Yep.
He doesn't have 15 home runs or whatever like last year. What has he got? He's got 8. I'll take it. He's had some big ones. And he's had some ones that have had let this team breathe, like I said, when they're early and just, okay, we'll settle in. So Carter gets the Alex Dickerson Award, Reisdorf the Donato, and Tyler Cerny with the Tony Butler for the Northwestern weekend.
And I want to give out an honorable mention defensive to Bobby Whalen. He also had some phenomenal plays. They were just in lower stakes situations. I've got him with a couple first out of an inning, second out of an inning, nobody on. But those were a couple that had stood out to me as ooh, Bobby's going for that red belt, and then Cerny's double play, and it was like, sorry, Bobby, you lost it.
Hey, but if Bobby doesn't make those plays, those could be rallies, right? That could have started.
Oh, absolutely.
So, no, I feel
absolutely.
I definitely do.
Well, that brings us to the special guest portion of our show today. We have a very special guest with us. We have sophomore pitcher Ryan Kraft, who just this week had his longest outing of the year, going 7.1 innings with 7 strikeouts. He actually made the national leaderboard among game score for Saturday's games. Ryan, welcome to Talking Hoosier Baseball.
Thank you for having me.
And Ryan, with that performance this weekend, you once again crept up into the enough innings pitched statistically to count, and you currently have the 7th best ERA in the country in NCAA Division I baseball. How does that feel coming in as a sophomore, returning and having that level of success?
It definitely feels pretty cool. Honestly, just gotta keep doing what you gotta do, and hopefully move up on that list. But if not, you're just keep doing what you're doing, honestly.
So right now, now that you guys had a road sweep, that was pretty good to see. How's the team feeling? How are you guys feeling right now as you prepare for both Xavier and Purdue?
No, the team definitely feels good. We had a big game tomorrow against Xavier. That'll be huge for our RPI. We get a win there. It'll be really nice. Huge series this weekend against Purdue. We owe them one from last year. So everyone's looking forward to the weekend.
All right. So can you talk a little bit about just how your role has sort of changed throughout the year? You've been extended more and more. We're seeing a lot more innings out of you.
So earlier in the year, I was kind of like in the spot of being like the kind of like closer type situation where I was getting like 1, 2, 3 innings towards the back end of games. If we were up, I was usually kind of in the game. And then honestly, as the year went on, I just innings kept creeping up a little bit. So each weekend probably gained maybe an inning or 2 here and there more where I usually didn't. So now I'm kind of like a long relief guy. So that's kind of what my role is right now.
And we've kind of seen this through with most of the returning pitchers that control has been significantly better. On your end, you're at just over half the walks you had last year and a third of the HBPs from last year. How has the control evolved, and what's kind of been contributing to that?
I definitely think something we've been really working on as a pitching staff is like we have like 3 pillars of pitching where it's like first pitch strikes, winning like the 1-1 count, and just staying out of 3-ball counts. And honestly, just taking it pitch by pitch is what's really helped me. Not really thinking too much, just going out there and doing what I can do.
So would you say, I haven't really had a chance to ask anybody this particular question, but how has the newer PitchCom system impacted you and your game?
Um, I like it. I do like it. I know Glant calls it quite a bit, and he also gives us little leeway. He calls like we'll have some times where it's like you call your own pitch, where I'm just working with Pete or whoever's catching. So I don't mind it. I like it. A lot of times we're on the same track of what we want to do with this batter, so it works. I like it. It's not bad.
Yeah. So how does that feedback loop work? I mean, if you're kind of in the middle of an outing and maybe one pitch isn't working as well as you'd like, how does that feedback loop work so that you guys are all on the same page and you're getting good effective pitches called?
Usually between like innings when we're batting and stuff, I'll talk to Glant, talk to Pete, or whoever's catching, and we'll kind of just like talk about what we want to do the next inning, like what's feeling good, what's not feeling good, like what do you want to start off with these guys. So usually in between innings is where I give a lot of feedback back to Glant and Pete as well, and so kind of work through that.
Are you getting a lot more information on your hitters now, especially as you're getting deeper into Big Ten play?
Yeah, we watch video on our hitters. We kind of know where to pitch them, what to pitch them. A lot of it is just playing to our strengths and kind of going against their weakness. And yeah, throw a strike. So if they hit it, they hit it. But we go against our strengths quite a bit, and usually our strengths outmatch what the hitters got. So it's been working out pretty good.
And as you kind of mentioned with Pete being a strong veteran catcher, and he's been kind of not kind of, he has very much been the primary catcher with Ellis out. How has it been, especially as a younger guy, working with such a strong veteran catcher?
Oh, I definitely love throwing to Pete. I feel like we're always on the same page a lot, which makes things a little bit easier when you're pitching to him. He's a great defensive catcher, has a great arm, knows the game real well, knows where to pitch guys, what not to do. So I really love working with Pete.
And then, can you also talk a little bit about just the team philosophy on holding runners? And you've had to deal with quite a bit of traffic, and you've done a phenomenal job of keeping that traffic from scoring.
We really work on just like when we hold runners. We pick off a lot, quite a bit. I feel like that's really helped out control the run game. I don't really know how many stolen bases we've given up, but I know it's probably not too many. And we're really working on is like being quick to the plate, being fast to the plate. So it gives a catcher, Pete or whoever's down there, a good time to throw guys out. And usually, if you make a good throw, you're fast with your delivery. Pete's going to throw them out. So Pete's been a great catcher back there, and he's done really well throwing out runners for us.
Yes, and I feel like I need to do I keep track of all the throwovers.
Mhm.
I feel like I need to start doing something with that, because those throwovers have been far more plentiful than previous years.
Definitely. But I think it's helped a lot to control the run game, which has really helped us.
Yeah, you just don't see a lot of attempts.
Mhm.
And I think the coach said there's only been one successful steal of third, and well, there was an argument as to how successful that actually was, but it was called safe. But with that, that's pretty much all we've got for you today, Ryan. But we really appreciate you coming on the show today. That was it's awesome to talk to you. We're really looking forward to what you guys are going to do this weekend, and seeing you guys play against Purdue this weekend.
No, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Let's take a little bit of that forward view now. Tomorrow afternoon at 3:00, Indiana travels to Cincinnati, Ohio, to take on Xavier. That will be again 3:00 game. That will be on the radio only for coverage. There will not be a video feed that we are aware of, just radio. So the IUHoosiers.com, Austin Render will have the play-by-play there. I am going to be attending that game. my understanding is I will not have a place to use my laptop, so that will be social. I'll have updates via social, but I'm not going to be able to do an official live blog on that one. And then following the Xavier game, the Hoosiers are back in action starting Friday at the Bart. Final Big Ten home series against rival Purdue.
Yeah.
Hey, Carl, if I can just mention,
yeah.
Friday is going to be Scott Rowland night. They're going to give out 250 Scott Rowland like jerseys, like the jersey T-shirts. So if you get there early, you get one of those. On Saturday, senior day is at 12:30. So if you want to see the seniors come out and get, honored with their families and, you get the framed jersey and you get to make some noise for the seniors on Saturday. And Sunday's Mother's Day. And for the moms out there that don't have a ticket already, if you show up at the game, half price ticket for moms. So I thought that was pretty cool. And of course, Sunday is the Kids Run the Bases. And that'll be the last one of the year. It's the last opportunity for the kids to be, have some contact with the players and stuff, because after that, we just have the one midweek. And then I think we all understand there's not going to be any more home games after that. So come out on Sunday. I know, it's Mother's Day. If it's something you can make happen with your family, if mom's a big baseball fan, the game is at 12. If you pull off an early brunch, okay, or set this up for Mother's Day dinner, which I am, you can still have a nice day with your mom, even if she doesn't want to come to the ballpark. But, it should be nice. From weather-wise, I saw a little rain on Friday, maybe early, but Saturday and Sunday look pretty good. So it should be a good one. Last weekend at the Bart, it always goes too fast. You always remember opening day, and then it's closing day, right? It's just, how is this over already? And I know there's that one midweek, but, for the last weekend and playing Purdue, I know the students aren't here and the graduation's over, but this could be a community game. We've had plenty of those anyway, so it should be fun.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that also means it's time for our Big Ten Pick'ems, which is continuing to be a very interesting race. Cass has a 1-series lead over Josh right now, who has a 1-series lead over myself, and I now have a 1-series lead over Chris.
Yes, you do. I took a shot. I was the only one who had even a chance to make up some ground last week, but Nebraska could only win one game, so I took a shot. It did not pay off.
All right. Well, since Cass is in the lead, I'm putting her on the spot to be the first to announce her picks.
Okay. Well, I'll make it. I'll go through them, but I'll make it easy enough. I'm picking all the home teams. I'm picking Michigan over Northwestern.
I got two different. Okay, let's go.
I'm picking Michigan over Northwestern because while Northwestern did show that they are possibly better than what their current record shows, I don't think they're good enough to win a series in the Big Ten at the moment. Iowa over Michigan State because Iowa has been very solid lately. And I don't see Michigan State beating them at home. I'm not going to give much explanation on Maryland over Minnesota, but Maryland at home, Maryland on the road, tough to beat. Doesn't matter. So picking Maryland there, Nebraska over Penn State. And the one that I struggled the most with, I did pick Rutgers over Illinois. That was a very tight one for me.
All right. Well, I will then go to Josh's picks. Josh agreed with Cass in all but one. Josh is going saying the Spartans will have a bounce back week and will take the series at Iowa. So other than that, he agreed with Cass. I agreed with Cass right down the line. I swear I'm not just doing this here on the show. I probably need to make sure I pick first next week, just because I keep doing that, and that's not my actual intention. But Chris says he's got a couple different. So Chris,
I got two.
Okay.
All right. So Rutgers, Maryland, and Nebraska. I agreed with Cass, and I guess all of us, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yes. Yep. That is across the board. Yep.
Across the board. And then I'm going to go with the Colby Moe effect. I got to do it. After seeing Colby Moe, well, I didn't see him, but I heard about him. I listened to the ball game. It brought up a little enthusiasm for Colby Moe, and I'm going to take him to win the series against Michigan. Colby Moe versus two sellouts. I'm going to take Colby Moe. That's how I'm going to do it. And we do need to get Josh Fegley off that damn wall, by the way. Let's hope that gets taken care of in the off season. And my next pick, I don't know if you guys know I'm from New York. A lot of gambling happens in New York. And I might have a tip. And I'm going to go with Michigan State over Iowa. Okay. So book that one for me, Michigan State, for the series over Iowa.
Yes. And on that note, if there are any student athletes listening to this podcast, don't do it. Okay. Just don't. This isn't about you. Don't involve yourself in gambling, please. Save that till after you graduate.
Bet on horse racing and NASCAR and you're good. Because
Speaking of NASCAR, I don't know if you guys know this, but I went to my first car racing of any kind this past weekend.
Okay.
Bloomington
Nice.
Speedway.
Ooh.
Oh, it was fun. I got to say, I felt like a real country guy. No, I did like it. It's really cool. I'd never been to any kind of car racing, and I had a really good time. So, yeah, they weren't allowed to bet on those, though. And I brought that up when I was at the place.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you not able to bet on this? Like, you could bet on horses when you're at the horse race, but
Yep.
I'm going to go Michigan State again, maybe in just that kind of realm.
But that did weigh on my mind of, I don't know how long because it was 4 baseball players.
No, they're all dirty.
Suspended.
No, they're all pretty dirty.
No, but I didn't know, will they be back for this weekend?
I don't know, but
there's
conference
any
is
more
dirty.
that come out or
It's a karma thing. Yeah.
There's not been any official details as to what it was, so we don't know yet.
No.
Just a lot of guilt.
But I mean, 2 of them are regular players, so you know it can't just be. It's got to be something somewhat. I think it would have to be something serious if they were going to willingly hold key players. So, but
although if it's going to be against a team, I guess Ohio State's.
Yeah, that I guess that's the case. But we'll find out more in the future, I suppose. So,
Yep.
I did want to make make one statement, which is not nearly as pleasant as everything else. The Indiana baseball family did have a loss recently. Many of you are familiar with Tucker Shank, who played for the Hoosiers up until recently. His mother passed away this past week. So that was a loss to the entire Indiana baseball family. I just wanted to say that the Shank family is in our thoughts. All right, that will do it for this edition of Talking Hoosier Baseball. For Josh Bennett, Cassidy Palmer, and Chris Feeney, I'm Carl James. And this weekend with a rivalry series, we will see you at the BART.